And that, my friends, was 10,000 Maniacs from the new album The Wishing Chair, recently released on Elektra Records. Can't Ignore the Train, the single off that. Winter Hours with Churches and The Gist, Love at First Sight. You're tuned to WHFS 99.1. I've got John Lombardo here, the guitar player of 10,000 Maniacs. He's joining us this afternoon to discuss a few things. The gig tonight, for one. Let's see, are you on there?
Yes, I think so.
All right.
Yeah, we'll be playing at the 9:30 Club in Washington, D.C. tonight. Mm-hmm. And looking forward to it, actually. We've played D.C. about 3 or 4 times, and we really like coming back here.
Yeah, I think the last time you came, you got a nice big review in the Post.
Oh, in the Post, yeah. I think so.
Real nice one from Joe Sasfi.
Mm-hmm, right.
Let's see, where'd you guys come from today?
Well, last night we played at George Mason University. We opened a show for Lone Justice. Mm-hmm. And before that we were in New York. We had been taking some time off after we finished recording the album. We just hesitated for a bit and tried to get things organized because we're really undertaking a very major tour. Mm-hmm. And we just had to buy some equipment and we had to buy a couple of vans.
Mm-hmm. From what I understand, your band is known for heavy touring.
Yeah, well, in the years previous to our signing with Elektra, it was really hand to mouth and trying to meet people at gigs that would let you sleep on their floor afterwards, and an old school bus, or actually a small school bus.
And that was shortly after Human Conflict number 5.
Yes, that was our first 5-song EP, and we recorded that in a college studio in a very I'm not going to say lousy studio, but I mean it was around a 16-track studio with about 5 of them broken, so it was very difficult, circumstances, but it was a good learning experience. And
from what I understand, after that, for 6 months, you did 87 gigs, and then you released Secrets of the I Ching, the 10-song LP, which John Peel got a hold of over in Europe.
Yeah, I would say John Peel, who I don't know if a lot of the listeners are familiar, but he's a very influential BBC radio personality in Britain. And he seemed to like the record, and he played it a lot. And actually, he's largely responsible for most of our overseas success.
He said very simply that 10,000 Maniacs was his favorite band.
Well,
so
that's quite strong praise, actually.
It is.
For
well,
years
actually,
and years.
wait a minute. The best album he's heard this year. My Mother the War was released on a 12-inch.
Yes.
In Europe. Mm-hmm. And then here we are with Elektra.
Yeah, it's been, sort of a dream come true for all of us, really. I mean, I never really expected it to get this far. I'm sure some of us did it, and it's just nice to be able to do the same kinds of songs that you've been doing all along without having to make radical changes, either in personnel or in style.
Yeah, I did notice that the sound is very much the same.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
Well, I think that's responsible in part to Joe Boyd, who produced the album. Joe is a very hands-off kind of producer, even though he's done a wide range of things. His input is a lot more in terms of sort of artistic distance, and he really lets you do what you do well. He's told us that he's not there to rewrite the songs or to rearrange them, where I think some producers actually do. They feel if it's got their name on it, it has to have some sort of easily identifiable stamp.
Very much a detriment, I think. But Joe Boyd has been known to produce REM's record Fables of the Reconstruction and some Fairport Convention records, and Richard Thompson.
Yes, sure.
And,
he was actually some of the more interesting things about him. He was like the stage manager of like the 1965 Newport Folk Festival, where Bob Dylan came out for the first time with an electric guitar and with the Paul Butterfield Blues Band, and Joe said that people went crazy, like Pete Seeger's wife was running around trying to unplug amplifiers and screaming. So he's been around quite some time, even though he's not very old. He's just seemed to have fallen into... Well, not fallen into, I mean, he's very talented. And it was a pleasure for us to get him to actually do the record.
Yeah, I think he brought out the best in your sound, kind of, not necessarily folky, a taste of that, and some other things kind of I got a Celtic feel, particularly on the song Back of the Moon.
Yeah. We actually have begun to incorporate some newer instruments. Took us a while to learn to play them, actually, but we have mandolin and accordion.
And pedal steel.
Pedal steel,
I was very surprised to see that on the record sleeve.
Yeah, so I think that those additional instruments fill out the sound and also make it seem a bit more timeless, so that it can't really be immediately identified with a particular decade or something like that.
Well, I must say that 10,000 Maniacs certainly has their own sound, very original sound, and it's very strong right now. I think it's something that's needed in terms of an American band coming out and its originality. And
well,
you haven't sold out, so.
Well, no, we haven't. We haven't. In fact, I think that a lot of times that can be a stumbling block for bands when they decide in advance who their audience is going to be and what their audience expects of them. I think when you tailor what you do, when you then basically it's not yourselves that are creating it. And I think that if you're really serious about what you're doing, you have to be your own harshest critic, number one, and then let the criticism fall as it may.
Well, listen, I know you have a sound check to get to. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been speaking with John Lombardo from 10,000 Maniacs. They will be at the 9:30 Club tonight at 9 and 12 o'clock, I believe, 2 shows. So do see them. They're very, very much worthwhile watching, from what I understand. They give a great performance. And we're going to listen to Back of the Moon. And was there another cut you wanted me to play?
Yeah, Arbor Day, I think, would be an interesting one to close the show with. Okay,
we'll hear Back of the Moon and Arbor Day by 10,000 Maniacs. Goodbye, John. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
You're tuned to WHFS 99.1 FM.